If you're in a gap year or thinking about taking a gap year, do you know this season comes with a mix of freedom and fear? For me, my gap year is mainly about me preparing for the MCAT and like building on my projects, meaning projects in research, projects in public health, and then the biggest project of all, myself. But let's be honest, sometimes motivation does not always come naturally. Some days I feel really inspired, other days I feel like I failed and I'm so far behind every one of my peers. In this video, I'm going to share how I stay motivated in these gap years, from everything from my mindset shift to the emotional parts that nobody really talks about and everything in between. If you're in the same boat, then I hope this gives you a little encouragement and some practical steps to stay on track. Let's start with some real talk. Gap years aren't just extended vacation or more time to figure everything out. They can feel lonely, especially if you're watching your classmates or your peers move on to different schools and new careers, and you're still here just grinding. What I really had to learn is to not see my gap year as a delay, but rather as time for me to build a solid foundation. This time is more of a investment rather than being behind. And that shift made the biggest difference for me. For me personally, especially coming from a first generation, very non-traditional household, I can say seeing the differences in like class structure when it came to me and some of my peers definitely was a little bit of a culture shock. Not crazy, but also I think in a way that is different from them because I've struggled. Not to say that gap years are all full of struggle, but I can appreciate things a lot more, and I feel like in my gap year, that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, is to shift my mindset so that I'm not being so hard on myself. Like, I'm not really behind. I just built a solid foundation. I appreciate things more. I grind harder. I know that I'm chasing something, and eventually I will get it. It's coming my way. The blessings are coming my way. But I say all of that to say that I'm in my gap year mainly because, one, that's how God intended it to be, so that's first. Two, I also feel like I didn't have guidance on what to do and how to do it. So this gap year is like me figuring out all of that and kind of getting my life together. While as some of my peers, they have doctors in their families, or they come from a little, more of a higher class and have more access to different resources, have the ability to not work, which is a thing that I don't think I've ever had. I think I've been working since I was like 16 or 15 or 16, and I have not stopped working since. The only time I did not work was during my master's program at Meharry, and I was still doing side jobs. So having the ability to not have to worry about money or paying bills or working or eating or even laundry at times, I feel like that gives you a little boost when it comes to putting more energy into yourself and putting more energy into your medical school application or your grad school application, whatever you're in a gap year for. So the lesson here is, one, your gap year is not you being behind, not you being delayed. You are building a foundation for yourself. Two, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't let what your classmates or your peers or anybody else, even me, what I'm doing, to deter you from how you feel about yourself. Do not compare yourself to all of those other people, because they're not you and you're not them. You have your own path, walk your path, appreciate your path, and continue going. Another challenge that I faced in my gap year was like having time, which it sounds like it's not bad, right? But also there's no set schedule. So not having a set schedule and then being first generation and not knowing what actually to do in that time, seems like that equation equals chaos. A lack of structure can literally kill all motivation. So I'm going to share how I built my schedule. So first things first, one, I am a morning person. If you're not a morning person, don't worry. You can plan your schedule the way that you need to plan it. This is just what works for me. I am a morning person. So the idea of waking up at 4 a.m. to study it's not haunting to me. But one thing to note is that I also work full time. So I'm usually in my lab. I'm usually in there by 7. I might stay until 3 or 4, sometimes 5. It depends on how much I have to do and like what experiments I'm doing. So if I'm doing a longer experiment, I might be in there a lot earlier and stay a lot later. But for the most part, I'm there from anywhere from 7 to 4. And then I also have a commute time that I account for, which is usually I leave the house around 6:30. And then when I leave work at 4, I usually get home around 4:30, 4:45. So now from that time, I have the evening, and then I have the time before 6:30. So I use that time to study. I use that time to relax. I use that time to cook, clean, edit. Y'all, I do use that time to edit. There are things other than studying that have to be done, and I have to use that time to edit. I'm not planning a bunch of 10-hour study days during the week because I literally can't do it. I can't do that. You want me to wake up, go to work, and work there for 8 hours, 9 hours if you count my commuting time, and then come home and study for 10 hours? Have you lost your mind? No.
You done lost your damn mind. When you get your damn mind, you call me.
I also know that I'm more productive in the morning, especially after coffee. Especially after coffee, okay? Your girl needs coffee. But I'm more productive in the morning, so I'm going to put on my heavier things in the morning. So cars passages, chemistry, like watching lectures and taking notes on them, or doing practice questions, things like that, I will put on my morning blocks. My morning time to study, it varies. Usually at minimum, I'm studying for an hour. At max, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on what time I get up. But again, if you're not a morning person, don't let that scare you. You just shift all that time to the afternoon. I also try to focus on anchor points of my day. So my morning, my midday, and my evening. What needs to be done at all 3 times, no matter what. So in the evening, I know I need to take the dog out. I need to cook. I know that I need to clean as I go. I try to do that, but it doesn't always end up that way. Sometimes it's a little chaotic in here, girl. My mama be on the camera and she be like, why is your house a mess? You're judging. You're judging.
You're in my business? Yeah, don't do that.
Let's not do that. You can't let things popping up and things that you have to do deter you from anything that you have to do for like the MCAT or applying to medical school or any of that. You can't let it shift your mind. Yes, things pop up. That's how life goes. It's how it goes, y'all. You just have to be able to take that and be like, okay, let me handle this first right now, but I know I still have to do XYZ things. I'm going to get to that, but this has to take priority. But my mindset is not shifting off of this. It's not shifting off of this. I'm not less motivated to do this because I missed one day. I know it has to get done. I know that I can't play catch up. You can't give yourself more time. You can only take the time that you have and make the best of it. I know that my morning blocks are basically for studying and for my devotional and Bible reading. I know that my midday blocks are mainly for research, anything that I need to do for my lab. So since I have my blocks set up, I feel more confident in what I'm doing, honestly. You can get overwhelmed with the amount of things that you have to do. But for that, I just recommend one thing at a time. I know it sounds so cliche, y'all. I know it sounds so cliche, but I'm looking past y'all at my whiteboard, and there were, I don't know, that looks like 20 things to do. And I completed them all, one at a time. Did it take multiple days? Yes. But guess what? It all got done. But it got done because I decided that instead of sitting down and not doing anything, oh, well, I could probably sweep right now. No, that doesn't sound bad. I can vacuum. That only takes like 2 minutes. I can transfer some files from this SD card to my computer. I just have to load in the SD card and start the transfer, and then I can go do more things. It's really just about taking things one step at a time. Okay, so now let's get practical. What actually works? These are some of the biggest, I guess, gap year hacks that I have done that it kind of works for me. So number one is micro goals. So think about this by saying, say you're studying for the MCAT, right? Y'all know the MCAT is 4 sections, a bunch of questions, a bunch of passages, a bunch of different topics. Girl, it's so much. It's a mile long and an inch deep. So instead of saying, oh, I want to master chemistry this month. Well, let's calm down. Let's calm down. Instead of saying that, just say, oh, I want to do 10 chemistry passages and fully review them and make Anki cards this week. Now, if I do 10 chemistry passages a week, will I be more likely to master chemistry? Yes, but mastering chemistry is the mountain. We need to make baby steps. You can't get to the top of the mountain without taking steps. You don't just fly up there, okay? Make micro goals. Now, that first step doesn't seem like you did anything. That second step also might not seem like you did anything. But the more steps that you take, the closer you get to the top of that mountain. And that's what we have to remember. Which brings me into my second hack, I guess, or tip. I don't know what I'm going to call this. But another thing that I do is I track my progress. For me, it's mainly about checklists and like vision boards, seeing the things that I've completed. One, it gives me confidence because I'm like, oh yeah, I did that. Which is why I got my stuff on the whiteboard now, because I'm like, oh, I actually did all of these things. I'm proud of myself. But also, it's a visual tracker. Now, don't let, because I've done this, don't let a visual tracker make you feel like you are behind. That is like the main thing that I'm going to talk about in this video. Don't make any of this feel like you are behind. Listen to me, girl, right here, me and you. You're not behind, baby. You're not. You are actually right where you need to be. In fact, you're right where you need to be at all times. But we can get into that on a different day. I'm not gonna get all old Southern Baptist Christian lady on you right now, but you are right where you need to be at all times. You need to extend yourself some grace. Not grace that you feel like, how do I say this? Not enough grace that you are sabotaging yourself, but just enough grace that you are speaking highly of yourself and you're not talking yourself down. But also, in that same sentence, don't let your fear of how good things can get make you self-sabotage. Don't do that. Don't do that. The world is losing out on yet another doctor in the middle of a doctor's shortage. And y'all, that shortage is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Do you know how many people you can touch as a doctor? How many lives you can save? I want you to think about that. You cannot allow your fear to withhold you from doing what God has purposed you to do. What are you going to say when you get to the gate and he asks you, why did you not do what I told you to? It's just something to think about. Girl, I didn't mean to get all deep on y'all. I promise I did. We actually have an outline of a script here, and that was not on it, but I felt like that needed to be said. So, hey. What was tip number 3? Balance joy. I'm sorry. Balance joy in your productivity. Which, I mean, how do I want to say this? I'm trying to figure out the words, y'all. But don't let all of the grinding, all of the studying, all the worrying, don't let that snatch your joy. Don't let comparison snatch your joy. Whatever it is that you enjoy doing, make sure you do that. Make sure you do that. It's more important that you are in a good mindset and that you are experiencing joy than it is that you completed all of these things. If you completed all of these things and you're drained and you're on the verge of burnout, then what good is it really? Because all the progress that you just made, if you burn out, you lose most of that progress. So let's avoid that. If you like reading, continue to read, girl. Read every night, read every morning, read on your lunch break, do whatever. If you like painting or playing piano, or if you like taking walks, make sure you're doing that. I would say make sure you're doing it daily, but I know sometimes that might be a lot to ask for, but just make sure you're doing it at least a couple times a week. Find joy in whatever. If you like content creating, which I hope you do, because there aren't many non-traditional content creators on YouTube, kind of hoping that y'all join, you know. It's like 3 of us, and I needed to be at least like 10. At least this is my recruitment video. I needed to at least be 10. But if you enjoy content creating, girl, make some content. If you enjoy cooking, cook, baby. Just do what you enjoy. Which is another part of this, is like, also take your rest. You don't need to absolutely study every single day and studying for 6 hours a day. Girl, take a rest. Whatever you do on that rest day, if it's enjoying time with your family, if it's cooking, if it's all the things that you need to do in the household, if it's just, I just want a bed, bruh, and I just want to read. Do that. Do that. You are no good to anyone if you are burnt out. You are also no good to anyone if you're a sourpuss. So find joy, but also don't let your need for productivity to snatch your joy. One of the other things that I want to talk about is the emotional side of gap years that I feel like not enough people talk about. Gap years can be lonely. They can. Gap years can also make you feel like if there was a pathway going this way to whatever your goal is, you feel like you're going that way. And I understand that. I feel like that often. There are days where I'm just like, I don't know if this is what was meant for me. And there are days where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. There are days that I just don't have anything to give. And those are the days that I remember that if I had one purpose in this world, it is to be a doctor. It is to heal. No matter what that looks like, I know that that is my purpose and nobody can tell me otherwise. Once you are sure in yourself and you are sure in your purpose, nothing can really deter you. One thing that my gap year has taught me, I've been saying that a lot. I know I've learned a lot, okay? Another thing that my gap year has taught me is just patience and resilience. Yes, there are days that I feel like, girl, I don't know. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know how we're going to pay for it. I don't know what the end looks like. I just know that I have been set on this path and I need to see it through. That's all I got. And today, I don't know if seeing it through looks like I'm taking a nap, okay? Sometimes seeing it through looks like I'm going to do like 10 Anki cards. Sometimes seeing it through means I just need to sit in prayer and meditation because I'm getting overwhelmed. I don't really have anybody to talk to about this because I'm non-traditional. Okay, they're non-traditional, first generation. I don't really have many people to talk to about this. So I need to talk to my creator because he understands. Sometimes that's what the day looks like, and that's okay. It's okay. Every day does not have to be productive. Every day doesn't have to be a 4 a.m. routine. Every day doesn't have to be, oh, I'm studying for 10 hours. It doesn't have to be that. Every day does need to be one step. Whatever that step looks like for you, that's what it needs to be. If it means today I don't have anything to give, so instead of me studying or working on this application or whatever, I'm going to take a breather, take a nap, relax, go on a walk, read a book, do anything to reset my brain, reset my nervous system. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be 1% better. Just because you took that day to do whatever, to reset yourself, does not mean that you did not take a step. you did take a step. You took a step forward. It's important to always keep in mind yourself, your mind, your body, but also your goals. Sometimes you gotta sit that goal down for a second and you gotta take care of you. Because how you gonna reach the goal if you can't get there?
You ain't got the answer, Sway.
Kanye.
I've been doing this more than you.
You can't even physically get there. How you gonna reach the goal? How you gonna do it? Okay, let's sum it up, girl. So some practical takeaways that I can give on how to stay motivated in your gap year is, 1, let's reframe it, okay? This is not delay. This is not you being behind. This is you building a foundation and working on yourself, okay? 2, let's make some micro goals. Everything does not have to be, I'm going to climb this mountain and I'm going to do it in one day. No. You need to take micro steps. Whatever that looks like for you, do that. 3, make sure you're anchoring your days in like scheduling things. It doesn't have to be a hard schedule. If you know in the morning I'm going to do this, this, and this. In the midday, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then in the evening, I'm going to do this. Keep it that way. Building structure is one of the most important things when it comes to being better about anything. Track your progress visually, however that looks like for you. For me, it's always checklists and like little vision boards. And then 5, finally, and honestly probably the most important, is to protect your joy. You need to build in time for your hobbies, time for yourself, time for your family. You need to make sure that you are not losing yourself chasing your purpose. Your gap year doesn't need to feel like wasted time or discouragement. If you focus on consistency, patience, balance, you're going to make it through the gap year, girl. And you're going to remain motivated. This can become one of the most important seasons of your life. Use it, appreciate it, build on it, and keep your discipline. I would love to hear how y'all stay motivated in these seasons. Let me know, drop it in the comments. I know that I'm not the only one in this season of a gap year. Let me know what y'all are doing. Do y'all have any more tips? Did you disagree with any of my tips? Let me know. Anyways, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see y'all later.